Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor, NeilHaley.com, and also at Total Radio Net and all the different social media places. Gotta also like the Total Tutor Neil Haley. I'm doing some inspirational Facebook, teaching people specific things, how to grow a business, social media, all the different things. Go check all those different places out. And fun day of great interviews, always here in Bethel Park at BPTV Studios. And I'm with WPL Hall of Famer, UNLV running web, City League Hall of Famer, and also ESPN analyst, Coach Karen Hall. Coach, how are you? This one here I'm going to roll with. You can introduce the illustrious guest, but the thing is, something I honor is journalism. Mm-hmm. And I have a celebrity list.
Yeah,
and my list continues to grow each and every day. I had Mel Brooks on my show 2 weeks ago, so you don't know all that. So the legendary Mel Brooks. So I said, how can I top Mel Brooks? So those stories will continue throughout my life. But this man has a legendary list as well.
Yes, he does.
So go ahead and introduce him.
So we've had him on our radio show, and he is smoking, because he's always sizzle hot, smoking Jim Frazier. So Smoking Jim, co-host of Sportsline, journalist, writer for the New Pittsburgh Courier, and so on and so forth. Welcome to the show. So excited to have you on the show.
Thanks, Karen Hall. I appreciate it.
Yes, indeed.
You guys have an outstanding show. I enjoy it.
Thank you.
I tell you what, Karen Hall is so humble. You guys know all the credentials, but she also was the only female to play in the Connie Hawkins Summer Basketball League when it was all college men in professional players, and she was the only female fierce competitor. And it's just an honor anytime to be around both of you guys.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
But I tell you what, I was watching your show one day, and you guys had a paraplegic on that played professional basketball.
Yeah.
And that made me think about the first time I seen Michael Jordan. Actually, the first time I seen Michael Jordan, he was in a wheelchair. And he was on Wild World of Sports, and he was playing against the #1 wheelchair basketball player in the world.
Wow.
And Michael Jordan had to play him in a wheelchair. And this guy was killing Michael Jordan, hitting from the outside, hitting from the threes. All of a sudden, Michael Jordan, the competitor he was able to get that wheelchair together. He started closing the gap. He was so competitive that he was actually knocking this guy who had no, body functions from the waist down. He was knocking him out of his wheelchair to get to the ball.
Wow.
And the guy beat Michael Jordan by a point or two, and I says, that guy, Michael Jordan, was only in about his second year of professional basketball.
Okay.
I said, he's going to be one of the greatest because everybody likes to win. Michael Jordan hates to lose.
Oh, yeah.
And Michael Jordan went on to have a great career. But I've seen him on Wild World of Sports basically blowing through a handicapped guy because he wanted that. He did not want to lose.
So now, when we talked about your whole Tyson. I want you to somehow set up that interview with Tyson. That'd be awesome. But if I'm in Vegas, that would be the easiest way, right? Is that where you live? Where's Mike live?
Well, Mike is pretty much living all over the country.
Yeah,
he has a house. He still has a house in Ohio, and he still has a house in upstate New York. But he got kids all over the country. He's on his third wife. He's very, very happy. He's gotten out of the boxing business for a while. We co-promoted 4 professional fights here locally in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I remember you told us.
But to be able to sit down and talk to Mike and him almost crying on my shoulder at times because he had went through $300 million when he filed bankruptcy. But he was on his way back up with boxing and HBO, and he wrote a book, or somebody wrote a book for him. But you walk down the street with Mike Tyson, and if there's a pigeon anywhere, he was going to pick it up and kiss it and pet it. And I tell you what, Mike Tyson is probably, out of all the people I've been around, Mike Tyson and Vinny Pazienza, who has a movie out now called Bleed for It, professional boxer. Those are probably two of the most gracious guys. they'll stand there for 4 or 5 hours and sign autographs.
So you
No
did you end
charge.
up interviewing Vinny too?
I interviewed Vinny Pazienza as well. He's a friend.
What did you think of when you interviewed him? See, this is the thing about when you prepare for an interview. Explain to people that preparation process when you're going to, especially when you run that recorder, get it started and say, start talking, right? Is that how you pretty much do it?
Well, you know, with me, it's who, what, where, when, and why. It still comes down to that.
Basics.
And once you build a trust, you know, you start talking to Vinny about, you know, family and friends, and Vinny just becomes close to you. You know, hang out with him at a couple strip clubs in Rhode Island. All right, Vinny, that's always a good thing. But, and he invited me to his premiere in Las Vegas. When his movie came out, I didn't make that, but I tell you what, the guy is just, you know, a guy that'll, I knew he would make it outside the ring because, you know, he shows up on time, you know, his word is good. Now he hangs out, he parties every day, he still gambles. But this guy, if he sees somebody, he'll stand here for 2 hours and sign autographs.
So with Mike Tyson, because he has, probably for most people, he still has that brute type of reputation from what they know, what they've seen. So you just talked about him being one of the most gracious kind of guys, pigeon kiss. People would not envision that. So how do you get that close to see that part of who he is?
Well, you know, he has a pigeon coop in his home as well. But Mike Tyson, unlike Vinny, is Mike, you may see him today, and Mike Tyson is your best friend. Tomorrow he won't speak to you.
Okay.
You know, because he's still battling those demons. But, you know, with anybody, if, you know, if you talk about their kids, if you strike up a conversation and you talk about people that they grew up with. For example, when I interviewed Hines Ward, I told Hines Ward, I came up to him, and Hines Ward didn't want to do the interview.
Okay.
Only wanted to give me a couple of minutes. And we ended up spending our first interview about 3 hours together.
Really?
Because I said, you know, Hines, I tell you what, man. And this is the, you know, I said, and Hines is an arrogant guy.
When did you interview him?
This is about maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago, arrogant guy. Okay. And when the camera's off, Hines is an arrogant guy. So I said, I come up to Hines, I says, I tell you what, man. I says, you know, when you was in high school, man, you're number 2 rated quarterback in the nation behind Peyton Manning. He says, oh yeah, he says, people don't know that. You know, they graduate the same year in high school, different states, but parade All-American. Yeah. Peyton Manning was number 1 quarterback. Hines Ward was number 2. So that kind of broke the ice. And
breaking the ice is huge.
That is huge
because these guys feel they're gold.
Yeah.
You don't break the ice.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask the same questions all the time.
Yeah.
When you ask a question that they're not expecting to ask, then they change their tune and it's easier.
Yeah, it really is. They always say if you can talk about somebody's children or if you can talk about their schoolboy, you know, high school friend or grade school friend and break the ice and you know, you got somebody.
But the art of interviewing is not asking the obvious. It's asking or saying something that no one else ever mentioned, and that's how he obviously sounds like he just lit up.
Yeah.
When you came to him in that direction with lights off.
Yeah.
And his arrogant tone evaporated, and there you had the end.
And then, of course, you know, I knew it, being an NFL scout, I knew his whole story. I knew his story that when he went to Georgia, he was second team running back.
Right.
As a freshman, but ended up starting because they benched the starting running back and almost kicked him off the team. Didn't let him dress the rest of the last 4 games of the season because they thought he was soft. And it is Terrell Davis from the Denver Broncos. Terrell Davis had migraine headaches that did not get his proper medication into the NFL. So Hines Ward goes there as a quarterback. But they had a quarterback, so they played him running back. They benched Terrell Davis because he was soft. He was always complaining about headaches. Yeah. So his senior year, he sits the bench. He has to walk on to Denver. They get him the right medication, and the rest is history. Then Hines Ward moved to quarterback as a sophomore, broke the Peach Bowl record. He broke Jeff Blake's record pass for 400 yards, rush for 100.
Wow.
Then the next year they got Eric Zier, and they moved him to wide receiver,
Okay.
and the rest is history.
But the surprise, you said arrogant. See,
Yeah.
we wouldn't think that of Hines.
Oh, yeah.
I could see that.
Oh, my
So- so-
goodness.
see that.
Oh, my.
Really?
I mean, the only...
Does that frustrate you in a way as a journalist when you're treated in a way where he's the arrogance?
No, because I love women. So, I mean, as quick as I can get out of there and move on to the girls is fine. But Ben Roethlisberger's another one.
Well, I knew Ben. Has
Yeah.
Ben not
Yeah.
changed?
Yeah, Ben's not changed, but the first time I
Because they
interviewed...
think he's now a saint after he was a sinner.
Yeah.
So here's the straight thing.
Yeah.
So tell me, is Ben different than he was 5 years ago when he got caught?
He just got a wedding ring on.
Right.
That's the only difference.
So really?
Yeah, that's the only difference. But Ben is another one. Ben talked to me for the first time I talked to Ben was forever. I told Ben, I said, hey, how's Jacob Bell doing? His eyes got big. That was his offensive tackle at Miami of Ohio.
Heard of interview.
He says, oh, man, he protected me in college. He was great. He says, man, he was a great lineman. And, man, I'm surprised he didn't get a shot in the NFL. He says, yeah, he
Was
got a
he
tryout.
so when you were interviewing these guys, like when Ben, was this in the locker room or was this somewhere else?
Well, you know, with Ben, the first time I interviewed with Ben was actually, you know, you catch these guys at a club or you catch them out somewhere. You know what I mean?
Really?
You see,
So this is how you do
I'm
you
out all
hunt
the
on them.
time, man. Yeah. You know, you running into these guys, man.
Do you tell them that you're interviewing them or you don't tell them?
Well, you know what? It actually a lot of times it'll lead to a longer interview.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you get some quotes, and then all of a sudden you're sitting in the VIP with these guys, and you get to talking, and they get to cutting up, and it gets to be fun. Yeah.
All right, so when we get back, more. I'm impressed again, but you're going to have to tell me and hook me up with interviews so I can do something for you.
Anytime.
Because you see my celebrity list.
Yeah.
It keeps growing, but always looking at the athletes. And Coach has got to learn that we're going to have to just go on location with an
Have to go
iPhone
on
and just
location.
go ahead and I know I can get somebody to shoot it when we do interviews. See, that's the thing. Nick Bonino was at Macy's. Did you hear about that story? But I'll tell you when we get back, we'll talk about it. You're watching the Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment.
I brought out a show on the radio about 5 or 6 years ago to try to share a lot of the information that I run across on a weekly basis with clients and to share those experiences and the knowledge gained from other people's either mistakes or the correct decisions they've made and their successes, and to try to share that with the community so more people could benefit. So we came over and met Dave, and it was real easy. He said, there you go, are you ready? We're very lucky to have this and the resources over here, where it would be quite expensive to try to produce a show like this elsewhere. Bethel Park TV is offering it to all of us. I hope this grows a lot, and I hope a lot more people do take advantage of this. You're missing out on a marvelous opportunity if you don't. It's really a free gift for you to be able to share yourself and your experiences and what your value is with others at low to no risk. Anyone who's considering doing a show, come on out of your shell. Come on over here. Dave's very gentle, very nice. He'll help guide you through this. If you make mistakes, he'll edit it out and record it over, so don't worry about saying something wrong. Just come over and share what you have with others. Just be yourself, come over here and let other people see who you are, why you're here, and who you're trying to help and what you're trying to say. It is that easy.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show, Coach Karen Hall, and also Smoking Jim
Smoking
Frazier.
Jim.
And so, Pittsburgh
Yeah.
Sportsline. But see, when you tell Al Levine, the talking machine,
My man.
why
Yeah.
is it you are the man of interviews?
Yeah.
The interviews. Who could say they've sat down and talked to Ben Roethlisberger, Hines Ward? It just continues in this process locally. Now, when you're at bed, are you telling him it's an interview? All right.
We already interviewed. You don't tell him you're interviewing. You just give it to him.
Tell him the cameras are on. I mean, you're going to be writing this in the Pittsburgh Courier? Are these articles, these ones when you've interviewed them?
Yeah, most of them appear in the Courier. They appear in various other
But you
magazines.
only certain things.
I'm a freelance writer.
But
Yeah.
certain things.
Yeah.
So when you go up to him, you just say, I know, you hunt for these. So Ben was in a club. When was this? After? Was this after?
It wasn't on the south side, was it?
This is
Okay.
actually 2005.
Okay.
2005 is his second year in the league. Yeah.
Oh, so you got
Yeah.
him before the ego went huge.
Oh, the ego was there even at Miami of Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you got to remember, they're still athletes. So the athlete, you grow up. People are stroking you when you're 10.
But see,
and if
but see,
it
I
doesn't
interview
leave.
these athletes
It
after
doesn't
when they
leave.
find out that they lost all their money. They're
Well,
different people.
exactly. Yeah, that's a different story.
See, that's a different story.
Yeah,
That they're
yeah.
the humbleness of the say, hey, I was
Right.
treating people like garbage, and now I'm all right.
Well, I'll tell you
Yeah.
a good one. Last year I had lunch with Roger Goodell and interviewed him.
Okay.
Wow.
Commissioner NFL, and Roger and I are talking, and you know it was stiff at first. It was
Okay.
stiff at first.
So tell me, so just tell us how it's set up, because that's
Yeah,
what people
and
wanna
where
see.
was the interview?
So,
Like-
wait,
The
so,
interview-
so this is it. Who's setting this
Yeah.
up? You're just setting this up, saying, I want to interview Roger. He's in Pittsburgh.
He wasn't in the
So-
bar.
So how did you know that Roger was going to be in Pittsburgh?
Well, one, I got a few connections in New York, where the NFL offices are. So I knew Roger was coming through, and I wanted to, interview him. And he only had time for lunch. Of course, he was making $44 million. So we made the connection, and I went out there and met him out in Washington, PA, and we were having lunch and we were talking. Of course, he's a busy guy. He only wanted to give me about 10 minutes.
I know the 10-minute thing, yeah.
So
Or
we
the
ended up,
8-minute thing.
so we ended up spending 3 hours together. we exchanged
Only
numbers.
smoking Jim.
But the main reason why was, one, I knew he was a bartender at Washington and Jefferson. That's how he worked his way through school. So that caught him off guard. You
Yeah.
know? So I'm
Yeah.
like, man, how'd you handle that? I said, there's more drunks in Washington, PA than anywhere else. When do you cut it off? His eyes got
Goodell's
big.
local?
Huh?
Goodell's local?
Well, he's not local, but he went to Washington and Jefferson, which is a great business school.
Oh.
And his career was supposed to be on Wall Street, but he ended up getting hooked up with Tagliabue. He was Tagliabue's coffee man for a long time. Then he worked his way up. So we got to talking, and then so that broke the ice a little bit. Then I says, the rumor is that the Pittsburgh and the Rooneys won a Super Bowl here. So he says, who started that rumor? You. So then we started ordering,
Okay.
we started eating. We talked about some other things, and then he told me, he says, off the record.
Oh, there it goes.
So it's on the record.
Yeah,
now.
it's on the
off
record.
the record and first on your show. He said, as long as I'm commissioner, the Pittsburgh will never host a Super Bowl. And he said the reason why, he says, one, there's not enough hotel stuff space. He said number two, he says, we got lucky in New York.
Yeah.
He says 6 hours after the Super Bowl, there was so much snow, the city basically shut down. So he says there will be without a dome stadium, there'll never be a Super Bowl under my leadership. In a winter city. But I tell you what, another great interview was Earl Lloyd.
Okay, who's Earl Lloyd?
Earl Lloyd is actually the first black to play in the NBA. Now, Chuck Cooper gets the credit for it because he was the first black player drafted. Chuck Cooper's a local guy, went to Westinghouse High School, outstanding player, played for the Boston Celtics.
Right.
Earl Lloyd got drafted in that same draft, but his team played before the Boston Celtics played. So he was the first black to play in an NBA game. So he since passed away, but that was a great, great interview. Another interview that was interesting is J.T. Thomas.
Okay.
J.T. Thomas, former Pittsburgh Steeler,
Okay.
four-time Super Bowl champion, first-round draft choice of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
J.T. Thomas, in 1970, was the first black player in Florida State history.
Oh, wow.
He's recruited to play in Florida State. His defensive coordinator is Bill Parcells, and he hated him.
Is that
And the
right?
story that he told me, he says, man, he says, I had a big afro with the pick in the fro. He says, I'm out there practicing. He said he earned a starting position as a true freshman. And he says the day before the game, all the media is surrounding him because he's the first black player. And all of a sudden he hears this across the field, Thomas, Thomas, Thomas. He turns around and Coach Parcells is over there. He says, yeah, Coach. He says, when you get done interviewing, he says,
Here it comes.
give me your phone number because I want to call your mama to get your high school press clippings because you ain't done blah, 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 blah here yet. You ain't done blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
So now J.T. Thomas says he's pissed off. He said, this guy's talking about my mama. He said, I wasn't thinking about being the first black player.
Yeah.
He said, I wasn't thinking about being, he says, I was mad. I went to back to my dorms. He says he came out and he said in that game, at the end of the game, he blocked a field goal to preserve the win. But he says years later, he thought some, because you know, Parcells is a psychiatrist. So Parcells did that to get him focused on the game. And he says, man, Parcells, she says, just walk in the locker room, just stare at him. You know, he says to this day he hates him, but he understands what Parcells' psychology is. And that was the strength of Bill Parcells.
Now, I know you love the women.
Oh,
How about the women athletes? Woo! Can you talk? Have you interviewed any awesome women athletes?
Well,
other than Karen Hall.
well, you know what?
I just had to throw that in there.
You know what? You know what? I can't.
Okay.
You know, sitting this close. You know, beautiful women make me nervous. So you're making me nervous right now. But I tell you what, another good friend of mine who I did a 2-page story on is the current Mr. Olympia. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mr. Olympia.
The bodybuilding, yes.
It's bodybuilding. And his name is Phil Heath. And he's a 6-time Mr. Olympia. He wins one more time, which he will. He comes to Pittsburgh every May. We hang out when he comes to Pittsburgh. Boys, he got muscle on top of muscle.
Is that right?
You talking about you talking about, man, he walks out the streets like 50 women there. So he can't handle them all. But the next contest he wins, he'll tie Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wins 2 more. He'll tie Ronnie Coleman.
Really? Wow.
So is it natural?
Well, you know what? They get tested.
Okay.
But, you know, of course, they're on steroids.
Okay.
Yes.
But here's a great story about him. Now, you can relate to this. He's from Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
He's only 5'8", 5'9".
Okay.
Good-looking black guy, light-skinned, green eyes, right? He goes to Division I scholarship for basketball at University of Denver.
Really?
So at 5'9", he wants to try out with the NBA. And he figures he's too small. Now, if you see his pictures, he just looks like a normal basketball player. You know, then 100 pounds later, he's this bodybuilder. So a quick story. So he says he's behind academically. He's not scheduled to graduate. He says, why am I trying out for the NBA? He says, I'm going to quit lifting over here in the, you know, in the men's, in the athletic gym. I'm going to go over here in the student gym and start lifting. Starts lifting over there. There's bodybuilding power lifters over there. So they says, man, you really putting on muscle. You could be a bodybuilder. So he started, you know, entering into contests. Then he goes into a bar like college guys. He's hammering beer. He sees this woman, white lady. He goes over, beautiful white lady. He goes over. He says, hey, can I buy you a drink? She says, let me just end this real quick. I'm 30 years old. 32 years old.
Okay.
I got a kid and I'm recently divorced, so you can go back over there. He ends up marrying her. And they're together for about 4 Mr. Olympia. She develops breast cancer.
Oh, nice.
You know, the love of his life. You know what I mean? But who's to say, you know, because you can't say, here's a woman that's 10 years older than him, already with a kid, just got divorced, and he can have probably any woman in the world, And that's the one he chose. He fell in love with her. So that's a
Smoking
great story.
Jim Frazier. When is his book coming out with all of his stories of interviews?
You know what? You just gave me a vision. I think I'm gonna start working on that this afternoon.
Yes, and trust me, and there's a great way
Unbelievable.
now where you can just do them in a series of recordings, and then they just transcribe it, then you write it. And there you go. You have your book. But I don't know all the interviews. Best place we can find information on you. We can watch you every week on here on Pittsburgh Sports
Well,
Line.
everybody knows Al Levine, the talking machine. You can catch me through it. But I'm very active on Facebook under Jim Frazier, Frazier, JimFrazier.
Okay, Jim.
Thank you.
Good to see you, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, see you.
Awesome.
All right, guys. That was the Neil Haley Show. Take care, and we'll see you next week.